And during the time that I've dealt with politics here in Benton County, there's something that has transpired over the years that has come to bother me a whole lot.
So the county mayor was involved in the selection of the people who would be managing his election next year, which is a big conflict of interest.
That today I could promise them a fair and honest election. If the whole board and the administrator, Mark Ward, is replaced, I will not be able to guarantee that ever again.
From infrastructure to fiscal policy, it is increasingly rare that Democrats and Republicans find something that they can all agree on. However, once in a blue moon, an issue is raised that receives overwhelming support from all parties. In this case, that issue is election integrity. Very soon you will hear from leaders of both the Republican and the Democrat parties describing what I call Hanky Panky that's unfolding with the Benton County, Tennessee Election Board. For those who don't know, the State Election Commission is made up of 7 individuals. These 7 people are tasked with confirming 5 appointees for county election boards all throughout Tennessee. For as long as anyone can remember, the process in Benton County has gone as follows. Local party leaders work in tandem with the state representative to compile a list of appointees. Once these appointees are agreed upon, this list is sent to the state election board for final approval. State senators, though legally allowed to be involved, are rarely, if ever, involved in the selection process in Benton County. This year, that process was not followed. Instead, the Democrat Party was told that their incumbents were not fit for office and that they must replace them. The Republican Party was dismissed even further. The Republican leadership had worked with Bruce Griffey, their state representative, and had submitted a list of appointees, the incumbents. This list was disregarded and replaced by a list of individuals reportedly selected by County Mayor Brett Lashley, who some claim is a rhino, and State Senator John Stevens. It is important to note that Benton County still uses paper ballots, and members of the very board being targeted have long been advocates for auditable paper trails, a charge that has been led by Mark Ward, the current election board administrator, who is also being targeted for removal. Not only is this unprecedented in recent memory, but throughout this entire backhanded process, every single member of the Benton County Election Board has effectively been removed. For what? What prompted such extreme measures? I want you to listen to on-the-ground testimony and decide for yourself. Was this justified, or was this political hanky-panky?
My name's Bob Myers. I'm a citizen of Precinct 3, live on Palmer Road here in Benton County. We've been here since 2010, and I acted as a poll watcher, one voting section with Mark Ward, and found him to be a really effective fella working as an administrator down there at the polling. And during the time that I've dealt with politics here in Benton County, there's something that has transpired over the years that has come to bother me a whole lot. And that's the fact that what I'm seeing here is we as voters here in Benton County, we trust our public servants. We trust them to do the jobs that they are elected to do. But we don't trust politicians. And what we have come to see is that a lot of our politicians, right down to the county level, beginning at the federal level, all the way down to the county level, we're finding that too many of our elected representatives, our public servants, are beginning to act like politicians. I think politicians do some things sometimes that take no consideration whatsoever for what voters who put them in office really feel, really believe, and really want and expect out of them. So because of that, when I heard about this situation that happened with Mayor Lashley and his group going around the normal protocol of appointing the next members of the board down here, that disappointed me greatly, because this process that was used for so many years has always worked. And I view this as one of those political maneuvers that politicians make when they don't want things to be done the way the people that have voted them in office want things to be done. Well, to say the least, it raised my ire.
My name is Cindy Wheatley, or Cynthia Wheatley, and I'm former secretary of the Benton County Election Commission here in Benton County, Tennessee, and I'm in the process of being replaced. The names haven't been chosen yet or haven't been shared yet, but they should be shortly. So it was that time of year when the Benton County Election Commission needed to either reinstate or get new members on the board. I know our local Democratic president had sent in my name and my Democratic friend's name, Russell King, to be reinstated onto the Election Commission. I later get a phone call on March the 29th from Mr. Greg Duckett. And Mr. Duckett asked me 2 questions. First question being, did I have any knowledge or know of any information about Mark Ward abusing his position there, maybe leaving to go work on rental properties or anything like that when he's supposed to be at the Election Commission? I told Mr. Duckett at that time there was no way I would know something like that. I work. The only way I would know that is if I was with Mark 24/7. And I said, I can't answer that with other than I have no knowledge at all. And he said, well, with that, he said, let me ask you this next question. And let me, let me ask you this like an attorney would. If you had any proof brought before you of Mark Ward doing wrongdoings, could you give an unbiased decision on the information and proof that's brought to you? And I said, well, sure I could. He said, okay, thank you, bye. And that was it. So I heard nothing else, and I thought, that was really strange. I didn't have any idea what was going on. So I called Russell, my counterpart on the commission, and I said, Russell, I had the strangest phone call. And he said, well, he got the same phone call. And I said, well, what's going on? And he said, well, he heard that they may be trying to get rid of Mark Ward. So I thought, okay, that's a shock. And Mark Ward has been the election administrator for 12 years. And if he's been doing something illegal or wrong for 12 years, why hasn't the state spoken up before now? So I waited a couple of days, and I called our Democratic leader, and I said, are you hearing anything? She said, well, Mr. Duckett had contacted her and said that my name and Russell's name were unacceptable. I said, unacceptable? Why are we unacceptable? She wasn't sure. So I contacted Russell King again, and he said, rumor is, and we know how rumors are, he said that they wanted us off the Election Commission because we were yes men for Mark Ward. I said, really? And he said, yeah. So I called Mr. Duckett. And I introduced myself. I've never met Mr. Duckett before, didn't even know who he was until all this started. And I asked Mr. Duckett the question. I hear that our names were submitted to be reinstated on the board, but you turned around and called our local president and said we were unacceptable. He said, yes, I did. And I said, okay. I said, I was also told the reason we were unacceptable is because we were Mark Ward yes people. He says, well, I can't say anything on that. And I said, well, let me put it this way, that today I could promise them a fair and honest election. If the whole board and the administrator, Mark Ward, is replaced, I will not be able to guarantee that ever again.
I'm Matt Jones. I'm the chairman of the Benton County Republican Party. Ordinarily in the past, the state representative has consulted with the local party to get recommendations on the election commissioners for the local election commission. In this case, the Bruce Griffey, our state representative, did consult with me, and we turned in the names of our existing Republican election commissioners to serve for another term. Our state senator, John Stevens, actually consulted with the county mayor, Brett Lashley, and the state executive committee man, Gary Key, and they turned in different names from what the county party submitted. I've never heard of an example, and I'm actually involved in a coalition of counties and it's other county party representatives from the Republican Party. Nobody I talked to had ever heard of the county mayor being involved in the process of selecting election commissioners. In this case, they did consult with them. They did not take Bruce Griffey's recommendation. They went with John Stevens' recommendation. And John Stevens, of course, had consulted with the county mayor and the state executive committee man. He passed on the names given by them. So instead of turning in our names, he gave ones recommended by the county mayor. Now the local election commission is they actually oversee the election process for the county mayor. In this case, it's only a year from now. So that's kind of a conflict of interest when you have the county mayor involved in the process of selecting the people that are over his election. Like I said, we have traditionally not ever had them, as far as I can recall, ever replace somebody against the wishes of the state representatives and the local county party. The Benton County Republican Party has been more than pleased with the job our administrator, Mark Ward, has done, as well as our election commissioners, even the Democrats. We had actually no problems for a long time. Mark Ward actually came in. When he came in, we had electronic voting machines with no accountability. And we actually went to a paper ballot system. So we have full accountability of every ballot, and we're one of only 4 or 5 counties in the entire state of Tennessee to have that capability right now. So that's a huge deal. We're grateful to Mark for bringing that in. And he had the foresight when the state election commission wasn't pushing for that. That was his and the election commissioners of the past. That was their decision. They did that perhaps even against the recommendations of the state. I'm not really sure, but they were certainly not encouraged to do that. That was their initiative. And I don't think we should punish them and punish Mark for the job he's done. I think he should be rewarded.
I'm Ben Thompson, a former Benton County Election Commission board member.
And what was your experience working with Mark Ward?
My experience in working with Director of Elections Ward was that I never saw him do anything that was unprofessional. In fact, I think he was always totally on his game, aware, following the law, leading the way to make sure that the elections process was carried out with the utmost integrity. And I never saw him do anything that the board didn't approve of. I know we were always of one mind because we all had one purpose, whether we were Democrat or Republican, whether we were part of the administrative staff or board members. We all had one purpose, and that was to have fair elections. And we did that. We accomplished that. And we're very proud of that.
And whose idea was it to bring in the paper ballots?
Well, that goes way back, and I was proud to be part of that process. Director Ward deserves the credit for getting that done, and it was a collaborative effort because we could see that the best, finest way to be sure that you are getting a correct count on Election Day is to have a verifiable recount process. As we know, most of the state of Tennessee does not have that today. You know, they plug the thumb drive back into the computer and have it print out what it just printed out. And they say that's a recount. And in fact, that's not a recount.
Dana Ferguson, Democratic chairman of Benton County, and a commissioner.
Okay, and now if you want to go in and explain your stance on Mark Ward.
He has done excellent for Benton County. I don't see where he has done anything that someone needs to try to get rid of him for any reason. You know, we do have a paper trail. That's more than what you can say for a lot of them. And you can't very well try to hide how the voting turned out. It's very honest. And that's about it, you know.
Right. Do you feel like he's being railroaded?
Yes, I do. Don't you? I thought the Democrats that were in and the Republicans that are in now, I haven't seen anything of the new Republicans, so I cannot comment on them. I thought they did an excellent job. I can't see where it's coming from. I have theories, but I'm not going to say those.
When you have unity across party lines, like you do in this case, why would the powers that be at the state level want to get involved? As the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more of them, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, it's free, and make sure you check out patriotpunk.org for the latest patriotic and borderline offensive t-shirts, decals, and tunes.